Can you imagine being locked up on an island with freezing water all around you, guards watching every move you make, and knowing you'll probably die if you try to leave? This was Alcatraz, the place no one could escape from. But in 1962, 3 men tried, and they just might have pulled it off. This is the true story of the great Alcatraz escape. A mystery that still leaves people asking the same question. Did they survive or vanish forever? So let's watch the story of the most legendary prison breaks in history. Alcatraz was more than just a prison located in San Francisco Bay. It was a warning. It sat on a lonely island surrounded by freezing water and deadly currents. The message was clear. If you try to run, you'll drown before you even get close to land. The prison held some of the country's most dangerous men. That included Frank Morris, who was quiet, focused, and incredibly smart. He had one of the highest IQs in the entire prison system. Then there were the Anglin brothers, John and Clarence. They had grown up swimming in ice-cold lakes in Michigan. And finally, there was Alan West, who knew the prison well and talked often about escaping. Most inmates just tried to survive day by day. But these 4 men were different. They were thinking, planning, and dreaming. They didn't want to survive Alcatraz. They wanted to leave it behind. The plan was not just smart, it was genius. Every night, while the guards walked by and the prison echoed with music and chatter, the men were digging. They used metal spoons stolen from the dining hall to slowly chip away at the walls behind their cells. They carefully hid the holes with cardboard painted to match the concrete. It was slow work, but they never gave up. They also knew they had to trick the guards during bed checks, so they made fake heads using soap, toilet paper, paint, and real hair stolen from the barbershop. They even gave the dummy heads names like Oink and Oscar. Above their cells, there was a hidden space. That's where they secretly built a life raft and life jackets using over 50 stolen raincoats. They used heat to seal the pieces together so water wouldn't leak in. Frank even built a small, working flashlight out of batteries and plastic. They were building their freedom with their bare hands and whatever scraps they could find. This escape wasn't random. It was designed like a mission. It was June 11th, 1962. The moment they'd been working toward for over a year had finally come. After lights out at 9:30, the prison went quiet. The guards walked by and saw what looked like 4 inmates sleeping in their beds. But the truth was, only one of them was still inside. Alan West couldn't finish digging his way out in time. He tried, but the hole was too small. He was left behind. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers slipped through the walls, climbed up to the roof, and made their way across the prison. They carried the raft to the water's edge and stepped into the icy dark water. Around 11 p.m., they pushed off into the bay. That was the last time anyone ever saw them. The next morning, the guards did a routine check. One of them tried to wake Clarence Anglin, but something felt off. He tapped the pillow and the head rolled off the bed and hit the floor. It wasn't real. None of them were. Panic hit the prison like a wave. Alarms rang out. Officers scrambled. Helicopters flew over the island. Boats searched every inch of the bay. Divers went into the freezing water. The escape was real. All they found were some wet footprints, a paddle made of wood, and a torn raincoat that might have been part of a life vest. But they never found the raft. they never found any bodies. Some people reported seeing a boat in the bay that night. One officer said he heard a strange banging sound on the roof. A fisherman claimed he saw something floating near the bridge. But the FBI said it didn't matter. They believed the men drowned. Case closed. Even after the investigation ended, strange things started to happen. Someone stole a car near the water just hours after the escape. The Anglin family kept receiving roses on special dates, but no one ever said who sent them. In the 1970s, a man took a photo in Brazil of two older men. They looked just like the Anglin brothers. And then there was the letter. In 2018, someone claiming to be John Anglin sent a note saying he had escaped with Frank and Clarence. He said he was still alive but very sick, and he offered to turn himself in if he could get medical help. No one could prove the letter was real, but it made everyone wonder. Scientists also studied the tides and weather conditions from that night. They found out that if the men had pushed off around 11 p.m., like they probably did, the current would have carried them safely to land. Even Mythbusters recreated the escape and proved it was possible. We may never know the full truth, but let's look at what we do know. These men spent over a year planning every single detail. They made tools, built a raft, and timed their escape perfectly. They were smart, calm under pressure, and willing to risk everything. No bodies were ever found. The FBI never found any solid proof that they died. And there are just enough strange clues to make you wonder. I like to imagine them making it to shore that night, tired and cold, but finally free. Maybe they lived quiet lives somewhere far away. Maybe they stayed in touch. Maybe they smiled every time they heard the name Alcatraz. They didn't just escape a prison, they escaped a system. They escaped a fate that most people thought was impossible. And even if we never find out what happened to them, one thing is certain: their story will never be forgotten.